Lesson 3. So I'm going to talk a little bit about this. You can read through the rest of this page if you really want to, but we're just going to go through key points. It's not a super long lesson, but basically we're just talking about American isolationism, which wasn't a thing until historians got a hold of it and decided to name it something. Basically, America didn't participate in the war until Russia pulled out in 1917. Prior to that, we have our president. That's not our president. Our president Woodrow Wilson. Um, he was president during this time frame, and then also he had a second term through this. So Woody Wills was the president at this point, and there is kind of like four schools of thought as far as like maybe why or why not to join World War One at this point, or I guess the Great War because it's not a world war right away. Um, and those are going to be non-interventionists, which is pretty self-explanatory. They don't want to intervene. They don't think it's our business. We got the socialists, which means something different at this point in time. They're just basically no military. They don't want to deal with anything that has to do with that, especially overseas. And then we have the liberal internationalists. They're like missionaries, but with democracy. So they think that it's their duty to like go and spread the idea of like a democracy in other foreign nations. But then we also have the Atlanticists, and those are the people that just 100% were like, yep, go to war, prepare for it, we're going to do it right now. And so they were kind of on the end of things. Like there really was not a majority of people that wanted to go to war or participate in this great war because we're kind of coming out of a recession. We just had the Civil War not too terribly long ago. People are still trying to rebuild the South. We might have had the Industrial Revolution, but it's not effective enough at boosting the internal economy of the United States to make a difference. Not right away, anyway. But one of the other benefits to staying neutral in the Great War is the fact that we could sell whatever we wanted to whoever we wanted. So we could sell goods to the German Empire, we could sell goods to France, we could sell goods to Spain or Portugal. They didn't care. They're not involved in anything, but we could sell it to like the British Empire, all of this other stuff. So we're kind of playing both sides of the table here. And we were also super worried about Mexico because Mexico had a really good chance at starting a war on our own territory at the border because there was a lot of kind of turmoil, and internally in Mexico there was a huge rise of power and like kind of an economic upturn to the point where they could potentially go to war with us. So obviously one of the benefits to being neutral was staying uh, in the favor of the majority because the majority of Americans wanted neutrality. Like I said, they were way too worried about Mexico. They were enjoying the fact that they got to sell goods to a whole bunch of other people so that like, they could boost the economy. Also, I don't know why this other related search is available for Woodrow Wilson teeth. If you're interested in that, you can find out. I was just very kind of perturbed about that. Nope, nope. There we go. So, kind of a timeline based map. We're going to look at this. Obviously, we got the Russia area over here that pulled out in 1917. We got a couple of other dates. We got March 1917, where we really kind of get fired up to jump in. So what we ended up doing is we were selling goods primarily to like Great Britain and France. Occasionally we would sell it to the German Empire, maybe Austria-Hungary, but mostly like Great Britain and France. And maybe Russia, but there was not a whole lot of communication with Russia. But we do see Germany or the German Empire getting a little jealous of our favoritism over Great Britain and France. And they pissed off Germany. So Germany got real petty and vengeful, and they wanted to stir the pot with Mexico. So they sent some people down there and started talking up like, hey, maybe you should go in and invade America. But also they decided to blow up some stuff. They sent some spies over to like New Jersey, and they ended no, here we go. This is Black Tom Island. So this is a basically is like a chemical plant, the DuPont chemical plant in New Jersey. So they like blew up some stuff and kind of just started to destroy property in the United States, but that was still not really enough for like Woodrow Wilson to stay like, hey, yeah, we're definitely going to war over this. Um, so really, he also like built up this idea of neutrality as a platform for his second term of president, so that way he'd get reelected because most people still didn't want to be involved in the war. And so he used that point of neutrality to get reelected. So in like 1916, um, he was, well, no, hold on. It wasn't 1916. It was like 1915, 1914. He was reelected as president. And like almost immediately after that, the Germans were like, oh, we blew up your thing and you're not going to be super sad about it. Cool. We're also going to do this. And so they found a British ship, the RMS Lusitania, that was going from New York to Liverpool. And at this point in time, with like the war technology as it was, Germany did have a lot of submarines, or what they called like Unterseeboats, undersea boats. So they had all these German submarines, and with the technology that they had on the ships, they were completely undetectable. Nobody knew where the submarines were at any point in time, and unless the submarines gave the opportunity for the ships to clear via radio signal or radio call, there was no way that anything was going to happen. And so occasionally, if there were other like German ships that were going to be attacking like potentially civilian ships, they would give them the opportunity to like get off the boat. But this is a submarine, so they're not going to have like 300 people get off the boat and like stand on top of the sub. Because I mean, that just doesn't make any sense. So they went ahead and sank the Lusitania under the premise that they assumed that it was carrying munitions. And so when they did that, it killed like over 100 and some or 128 U.S. citizens and U.S. civilians. So these are not military personnel; these are basic civilians. But also, I mean, overall, it killed like 1,200 people basically. And so that finally was like kind of the pivotal point for old Woody Wills. He decided, this is really inappropriate. He killed like 130 of our people, but I'm just going to send you guys a really strongly worded letter and hope that that fixes things. So he writes a diss track and sends it over to the German Empire. And so they're just like, oh, this is really dumb. Like, what a weenie. We're gonna go ahead and send this telegram to Mexico because obviously they're gonna continue to be neutral. They don't want to participate in this, and we're just gonna take the U.S. Why not? And so what they did is they sent this telegram to Mexico. So they wanted to send this through, but they had to encrypt it. So they encrypted this telegram and they sent it from Arthur Zimmerman to the German minister in Mexico, Heinrich von Eckert. And so what that telegram stated is that should they decide to, as the United States decides to remain neutral, if they decide to invade the United States as like Mexico were to invade the United States, they would form an alliance with Germany. And so they were trying to build up that relationship between Mexico and Germany. And so they really wanted to either push the U.S. into war. Also, if they pushed the U.S. into war, they wanted to make sure that Mexico would be their allies. But it was intercepted. It was intercepted by British officers, and they kind of sat on it for a little bit, and they said, well, I guess America has the right to know. And so they shared it with the United States, which eventually, like, they verified it, and then they escalated it up the chain of command all the way up to the president. But like Arthur Zimmerman came out straight and said, yeah, of course we were like conspiring against you guys. We want this alliance with Mexico. And so, um, uh, Woodrow Wilson was finally like, well, I really don't like that. But this combined, because this happened in 1917, you can see the date of the telegram getting sent. This happened in 1917. And so if we are looking at, no, that's just the sinking of the Lusitania, which, as a quick review, like 130 US died. So, March 1917, uh, the Zimmerman telegram was made public. Woodrow Wilson went ahead and um, sent that out, publicized the text from the telegram, which really swung the public opinion on Germany. And they had proposed that maybe there should be a war declaration. All the while, the other reason why Woodrow Wilson really decided to like make these things happen is because additionally, after the sinking of the Lusitania, they really tried to have Germany like agree, like, hey, don't sink civilian ships. Like, stop your stupid submarine warfare. We don't want to deal with it because we can't detect them. And if your submarines can't identify civilian ships, take them out of the water. And so Germany's like, haha, lol, okay, we'll do that. And then, of course, they just like totally ramped up the submarine warfare and really intensified it by 1917. So Woodrow Wilson was officially like, okay, I'm done. We'll do this. Um, Especially after public opinion changed, because of course, the United States presidents won't do anything without a public opinion backing, which is good and bad. But also, um, they went ahead and was like, oh, well, let's go ahead and send the army out. And his cabinet member that was in charge of the military, why can't I think of what they call him? The war secretary or whatever, was like, well, we don't have an army, sir. And so Woodrow Wilson was like, well, make one, send them. And so Baker, his secretary, was like, how? And then that's where we get the draft. And so basically, Woodrow Wilson is like, tell all the men that are fighting age between like 21 and like 30 that they're gonna go. And so eventually it was lowered to 18, so that way they could like boost numbers and everything while we were getting involved in World War One. But yeah, so that's where we get the draft. Super fun, right? And you still have to sign up today. If you're 18, you get a draft card. If you're 18 and a dude, you get a draft card. So fun. I tried to make this shorter. It's about the same length. I'm sorry, but we'll keep going. There is a lot of content in this unit, so um, just do your best. Not all of it's required, so don't worry. But if you made it this far in this video, thanks. I appreciate you.